Good morning and welcome to today's webinar. Today's discussion is hosted by the Chamber's Ponte Vedra Beach Division. Before we begin, I would like to recognize the sponsor of today's event, Fields Auto Group. Fields Auto Group has been a long-time supporter of events for the Ponte Vedra Beach Division, and we are grateful for their sponsorship of this virtual event. Fields Auto Group is family-owned and operated and represents luxury auto brands. We are pleased Kelly Wilson, Interim Deputy Director of Emergency Management, is with us today. Kelly Wilson has served St. Johns County since 2006, beginning as the Emergency Management Planner, Emergency Management Coordinator, and now as Assistant Director of Emergency Management. Ms. Wilson specializes in comprehensive emergency management planning, including hazard mitigation planning and continuity of operations planning. She also maintains their social media presence and coordinates public outreach to the community. Prior to coming to St. Johns County, she served as a planner for the City of Key West, specializing in land use planning. Her educational background includes Masters of Science from the University of South Florida, with a focus in environmental science. Many of you have already submitted some questions. Feel free to submit questions online during this discussion in chat room. Kelly?
We are actually operating, which is interesting this time of year. Usually we think about hurricanes, but we are actually under a partial activation due to the COVID-19 pandemic and our response to that. So the EOC is actually partially activated right now while I'm coming to you. The EOC, it was built back in 2009. We moved here. It is built to about a 200-mile-an-hour wind load. So when there is an emergency, a hurricane, anything like that, this EOC is activated. And we probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 people or so in this building responding to St. Johns County and making sure our residents and visitors are safe and protected during those, and then recovering from any of those type of incidents. So today we are going to talk about hurricane preparedness, since we are well into hurricane season. So we're in the middle of July, and most of us have noticed they've already named several hurricanes out there in the ocean. Fortunately, none of them have come too close to us right now. We're having a decent rainy season, so we can sort of take the wildfires off of the tables for a little bit. But we want to talk about hurricane preparedness, and everybody was thinking hurricane preparedness, and we're all dealing with, especially you folks in the business world, you're all dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic and trying to, how is your response going with that, and the adjustments you're all making to your businesses with that. So a lot of us like to focus on, a lot of people like to talk about what is the forecast for this season? Is it forecast to be a busy season? Is it forecast to be a slow season? A week or so ago, we were talking about the dust from Africa and how it dried everything out. It also made it extremely hot. That has moved on, and that is a regular occurrence, that dust moves across from Africa. But the most important message is we tell everybody, it doesn't matter if they forecast 104 hurricanes or if they forecast one hurricane. Because if the one hurricane that does form in the ocean makes landfall here, that it matters. So, is it good to know if it's going to be a slow or a busy? Sure. But the most important thing is to be prepared no matter what that forecast says. So with that said, hopefully we're all in the middle of planning and we've got our plans all squared away. If not, you'll notice on your screen right now, we are moving through the St. Johns County Emergency Management website. And we thought this would be a great opportunity to, while I talk about hurricanes, we're going to go through this website and kind of look at it where you can find all of your resources. So the most important thing we need to talk about is a plan for both your family as well as your business. And when I say your business, I mean as well as all your employees. So the good news is that through this COVID-19 pandemic, many of you have probably already worked through a lot of your planning, especially things like continuity of operations type planning. So if you'll look through our website, you will see different pieces of it over there on the left-hand side. But one of the big things we're going to talk about right now, so we always decide this is the first and most important part of your plan. We're going to talk about evacuating. So right now you're probably thinking, well, there's this pandemic and you want me to evacuate my home and go somewhere else. The thing that we all have to recognize about this is if you are ordered to evacuate, you're being ordered to evacuate as a life safety decision. Those decisions are made with the forecast that we receive from the National Hurricane Center. So the reason we're asking you to evacuate is to save your life. It is not necessarily for wind. Folks will call and say, well, my home was built to 150-mile-an-hour wind. And it very well may have been. The reason we are asking you to evacuate is due to the storm surge that comes with a hurricane. If you are located in an evacuation zone, you have the potential to have storm surge, which means water entering your home and or business. So if you'll notice on the website on the right-hand side there that there's the My Zone, it's the evacuation zone tool. So to start your plan, we need to figure out, is your home or business in the evacuation zone? It's a real simple tool to use. It works with St. Johns County address. And the actual letter will come up. It'll say evacuation zone A, B, C, D, E, F. If you are not located in an evacuation zone, it will also show, it'll say this address is not located in an evacuation zone. So it's a very easy tool to use. You just go in there and enter the address. So that's the most important first step in our planning. So we go through that. Okay, I live in an evacuation zone or I do not. So if you don't, make your plan. So now, okay, I don't live in an evacuation zone. I feel comfortable staying within, or in my business, I feel comfortable staying in my home. Okay. Also, this is a great time to be a friend to someone who may live in an evacuation zone. So if you have some friends, maybe you could have them in your home. That's a great time to make friends with those folks if you can socially distance and do all those type of things. Because once again, that evacuation is ordered for your safety. And that risk is still there despite that pandemic that is ongoing. So you figure out if you live in the evacuation zone, you figure out if your business is in the evacuation zone. Now we move into that preparedness phase, that planning phase. So your business, let's look at your business. Let's make sure that we are going ahead and getting that business prepared. Do you need to put shutters on it? Do you already have shutters? Now is the time, let's say you want to use something like a plywood shutter or something. Now is that time to go ahead and get those items. We don't want to see everybody rushing into Home Depot, Publix, Lowe's at the very last minute in those long lines. Let's go ahead and work through that. Maybe you want to put permanent shutters on your home or the corrugated metal type shutters. Now is the time to go ahead and get that contractor out to your home or business and let's get those shutters. That's way when there's an approaching hurricane, we're not running around in a panic trying to be prepared. We do it now. Do you have all your important paperwork and documents located in a single spot, especially for your business? Make sure you're part of that continuity of operations planning with your business. Are you ready to operate from afar? And I always tell folks, and I feel like we've moved through that a little bit with the COVID. A lot of you were operating from, distance locations. Your employees may be working from home. So you've kind of already worked a little bit through that continuity of operations. Now's the time to put it down on paper because a lot of those will be able to be used during and after a hurricane. Do you have all your documents? Are you able to work remotely, especially the stuff that you have digitally? Do you have another way to access that if, in fact, your business becomes damaged? We need to make sure that continuity of operations is exactly what it is. I always tell people, continuity, if you walked up to your business tomorrow morning and the whole thing was gone, it fell into a giant hole in the earth, what would you do? Would you still continue to be able to operate? So those are the important steps to go through. How will you get back in touch with your employees? Is it via cell phone? Will you have a meeting spot that says 2 days after the wind stops blowing, we are all meeting at this address. Please don't pick somewhere near the beach, just in case. So those are the types of business preparedness. Your personal preparedness, make sure you have food and water for 3 to 7 days. And now with the COVID, we're also recommending, let's make sure we have lots of soap. The water thing is very important too. Fill your bathtub. That's an excellent source of keeping some clean water. Hand sanitizer and some disposable masks. We're going to need all of those things. And, as we have learned in the past couple of years, it may be uncomfortable. The power may be out for a little while. So let's go ahead and think through those processes and get as prepared as we possibly can. Okay. Now, let's say that you do, in fact, live in an evacuation zone and you're not going to have the option to go to a friend's house. I suggest making a friend right now that does not live in the evacuation zone. or you want to go to a hotel. A hotel is another option. If none of those options work for you, we have public shelters available. And if you look down over on the left side of the screen, you'll see shelter information. We have general information regarding shelters. We have both public shelters and special needs shelters. Our special medical needs shelters are for those folks who have a medical need that will require them to keep electricity. We have a pre-registration process for that if you or any family members need one of those types of shelters. You can see our shelter locations. Also, you'll see shelter locations on the left side under the brown side. Those shelter locations will show you all 15 of our public shelters. You will notice in that list of shelters that we have the special needs, and we also have pet friendly. Our pet friendly evacuation shelters are for those of you that need to evacuate, and you also have pets. And the pets acceptable, and we'll call them acceptable pets, are your run-of-the-mill cat, dog, hamster, bird, things like that. Barnyard animals we cannot take in our pet friendly shelters, just simply because of space allocations and things like that. But you can come with both your pet because we need to keep everybody safe from the storm. These options, and I'm sure everybody's going to ask, and they're say, well, you know, a shelter and it's a public shelter, and there's the COVID-19 is still prevalent. We are taking steps regarding our sheltering to ensure social distancing. In the past, we may have opened 5 or 6 shelters. Now we may have to move into where we may have to cut the capacity in half, and we're going to have to open additional shelters so that we have less people in each shelter. That way we are able to maintain that social distancing and keep folks, further away from each other. We'll have additional hand sanitizing, cleaning. We may ask folks to, if they could wear a facial covering within there just to slow the spread of, the COVID-19. So those are some of the initial things we need to work through. And like I said, the other important thing on this website that we can go to, and actually I want to move back up the page a little bit, above that My Evacuation Zone, you will see Alert St. John's. So many of you may be asking, how will I know which of those shelters is open? Because they may all not be open at the same time. How will I know I've been ordered to evacuate? Well, the Alert St. John's notification system is how we will get in touch with you. It will also be on every television station, every radio station, newspaper. It will be pushed out in social media, all of those manner. But the initial notification we will push out, we will call. We have the ability to take this notification system and specifically map out areas of St. Johns County. When we order an evacuation, we will use this system. So if you have not already signed up, this is an excellent opportunity to go ahead and sign up. And you will click on that icon. It will take you to this page, and you'll click the sign up here. When you sign up, you will just go through and you will give your name and your address and things like that. You will be able to put your business address as well as your home address. So you may be able to do both of those because you might want notifications about both options, both your business and your home. So when you sign up here, you'll also be able to choose how you receive those notifications. Do you want to be a phone call? You can add house phone, business phone, cell phone, email. You have the option to add multiple emails. And, so you'll be able, or text message, and you'll be able to add several mobile text messaging options. So you will be able to choose how you, in fact, receive these alerts. But this will be the fastest way that you receive an alert. You will also notice you will have an option to sign up for weather alerts. So severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings, things like that. You will have the option at the end to select those if you would like to receive them. You don't have to. The public safety notifications, and public safety notifications may be if there is, certain types of alerts, water advisories, anything like public safety type messaging. You will also be able to receive that in this manner. Those you will automatically be signed up for. The weather alerts will be an option to sign up for. This is a great new tool. We started using it last year. It does, in fact, replace the Code Red system we used to use. It works in the exact same manner, but it is a different system. So just because you were signed up for the old one does not mean you're signed up for the new one. We need you to go ahead and re-register, and we appreciate you spreading the message on that. The other really important tool on this website, if you ever want to see the live weather, and the fun thing about this is you can actually see weather all around St. Johns County. But if you're ever curious about what the live weather is here in St. Johns County, if you see underneath that My Evacuation Zone, you have that weather stem tool. These, if you ever watch the Weather Channel, you'll notice these weather stem tools. And if you click on that, you'll be able to see a live weather forecast if it's raining, what it looks like outside, and you can literally see live weather throughout St. Johns County. If you put in weather, and you'll see right there, sometimes it'll get a little slow, but you can see live conditions here. It looks like it's getting a little cloudy. If you go up to the top where it says weather stem units, and it's kind of blue right there, you can click on it and you'll be able to see weather stem units throughout the county. And if a lot of you folks are in Ponte Vedra, there is actually a weather stem unit that will give you a live broadcast and feed from the South Ponte Vedra Beach Fire Station, Station 9. So this is kind of a fun tool because we can use and see live weather throughout the community, wind speeds, rain, what does it look like outside? And this is very helpful to us because we can see real-time conditions. So like I said, that weather stem unit, when you drop it down, you'll see we have all over. There's one at Palencia Elementary. There's some at St. Augustine High School. There's one out in Hastings. So we can see we're trying to get coverage in this community so we can see the weather all over. So the last thing that I wanted to discuss with everyone is, and this is a really important tool, especially since we are all social distancing and many of us are working from home, is the Hurricane Guide, and it's the 2020 Hurricane Guide. Now, we have these in both paper version as well as this online version. You'll be able to click there, you saw on the sign is the Hurricane Guide on that bottom right. And so this is the 2020 Hurricane Preparedness Guide. Two important things that I wanted, there it is right there. You can see the Hurricane Guide, and then that is what it looks like. So two of the important things is throughout this is an excellent way to start working on your plan. You'll see our table of contents. You can start building your plan. It gives you suggestions and websites and different things like this, and I can't strongly recommend this enough. One of the important pages that we dedicated to businesses, we're preparing your business. And that's on page, and this is your preparedness, so you can see disaster planning and how you get your plan together. But on page 8, we very much focus on business planning. And it goes back to that continuity of plans and why they're so important. Where you begin. And remember when I said you're probably doing a lot of this, but you may not have written it down yet? Now's a great time to write it down. So we're talking about write down your plan. This is how we're going to operate. We can do it remotely. This is where we're keeping our paper records, our online records. Are they in the cloud? This is how we will get in touch with all of our employees. This is how we will prepare our facility, shutters, things like that. Your vehicles. If you are a business that has a fleet of 100 vehicles and you're in an evacuation zone, you need to plan, where are we going to take those vehicles? Because you certainly don't want to leave them in that evacuation zone and then they're flooded, and after the storm, your fleet is down now. So that's some of the important things. Review your insurance policies. Look at your insurance. Ensure that your insurance covers everything that you believe it is. Make sure you haven't looked at, if you haven't looked at it in a couple of years and maybe your business has grown, you've added things. Make sure all of those things are included within those insurance documentations. Goes back to that supply kit. Do you have paper documents there that you don't have stored digitally somewhere else? Well, then make a plan, make sure those go with you, because if they're irreplaceable and they go underwater, you're going to be in a bit of a pinch afterwards. And when you write that plan down, make sure you share it with your employees. Make sure all of your employees know the plan. This is what we're going to do, and practice it. So everybody has like a job. This is your job if we have to evacuate. This is your job to secure this facility and these vehicles. So the other thing is, we always tell everybody it's very important to have a NOAA weather radio. This was also with your Alert St. John's. Your NOAA weather radio is the weather radio that will instantaneously warn you of a severe thunderstorm warning, a tornado warning, any of those types of things. We like to tell everybody you should have one of those in your business. To go back, and one of the most important things I like to remind everybody when we look at that insurance again is flood insurance. And I tell you this, if you have Florida on your driver's license or your business license, you need flood insurance, okay? Flood zones are based on freshwater flooding. There is a little bit of storm surge flooding involved, but I'll give you, for example, I live in evacuation zone C. I am not required to carry flood insurance because it is not considered a freshwater flood zone. I cannot tell you how important it is to have that flood insurance, because your regular homeowner's insurance policy, your regular business policy, does not include a flood insurance. You need to have a separate flood insurance policy. I have one at my home. If you live in what is considered a low risk, which means not an identified flood zone, and flood zones and evacuation zones are two very different things. And if you don't live in an identified flood zone, you're more of a moderate risk. And I will tell you, your policy premium is a fairly reasonable premium. My premium, I'll give you for example, is about $32 a month. It's about it's about $400 a year. It is very reasonable. And I can strongly encourage you, if we can scroll down to the next page. This is sort of, the next page is sort of the fun facts, or I should say the following page, the page 10. It is sort of the I built this page, and this is our fun flood facts. And when I say fun flood facts, it's the things that we hear from everybody. Nobody ever thinks it's going to be their house. An inch of water can cost $25,000 to a home. Now, just think about your business, how much that would cost. I can tell you how I make my decision on flood insurance. I don't have $25,000 sitting in the bank or $40,000 sitting in the bank to make repairs that are not insured. So it is well worth the investment to get flood insurance. And another very important thing with flood insurance, don't think you can buy it when there's a storm sitting in the Atlantic Ocean. For homes, and I can't speak to businesses, but for homes, there's a 30-day window. You have to wait 30 days before that policy goes into effect. So today is the day. Today is the day, if you do not have flood insurance, to go get flood insurance. And that's kind of that insurance portfolio: auto, home, flood. Make sure you've covered all of those items. That is kind of my preparedness talk to everyone. I'm hoping everybody has questions for you. I've covered, a little bit of ground. So what do you got? What kind of questions? I'd love to hear from everybody.
Kelly, we have a question in the chat room. Where can we pick up multiple copies of the Hurricane Guide?
So that's an excellent question. Right now, if you're in Ponte Vedra, and we can get some to our friends up there at the chamber. I know that we have given them some, and I hate to speak for them out loud. I don't know what their quantity is, but we can always supply additional ones to the County Chamber of Commerce. We always have copies of them at our libraries. We keep them at the sheriff's office. I believe the substation up there also has them. We try to distribute them. I know the library does, so that's one spot, especially if you're in Ponte Vedra. But if our friends at the chamber would be willing to do it, we can get additional copies to them. Or if you're in the middle part of the county near us, you can always give us a call. Our phone number is 904-824-5550, and ask us. And if you say, I really need 100 of those, we'd be more than happy to supply them. If you would like to come and pick them up here at the EOC, we'll put your name on a box. We'll put the box. You tell us when you're coming. We'll put the box outside, and we can absolutely supply them to you that way.
Kelly, there was another question. When should businesses begin planning?
You should begin planning as soon as you get off of this Zoom conference. Immediately. We need you to go ahead and get that plan in place, because we cannot, if we get lucky, sometimes we get 5 to 6 days to watch a hurricane march across the ocean. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes they jump up, and if you watched Hurricane Michael, it went from a tropical disturbance to a landfalling Category 5 hurricane in about 72 hours. So we don't want to wait. We want to do it right now. Let's get those plans in place. Let's get those homes and businesses prepared today.
And here's another question. What processes are critical to business continuity after the hurricane?
Okay, so your processes that are critical, you should have in your continuity plan. Okay, so the storm has passed. Now you need to have that team. When the evacuation order is lifted, and this is critical, we will not allow you back onto there. We will probably have the island closed, especially the island. We will have the island until we go through that search and rescue operation. I will give you for example. After Matthew, people were trying to get back home. We were holding the bridges, and when I say holding the bridges, because the evacuation order was still in effect. The reason it was in effect is not because we enjoyed having people lined up at the bridge. What we were trying to do is get the roads actually cleared so that it was safe for you to return to your homes. So what you need to do is you need to have those first in folks. You need to have the folks that you say, the moment that evacuation order is listed, Bob, Sally, you are off. You are going over to our business, and you are going to check the business, see what is there damage. Do you have electricity? How bad is the damage? Then report back, and then you have that little planning team, and you say, okay, let's live in heaven forbid the business is damaged. Okay, we are going to institute our continuity of operations plan. We are now going to do X, Y, and Z. You're working from home. Our fleet vehicles are over here. You start contacting, you have it written down. How are we contacting our employees? Our employees, here's our contact. We're going to tell you we are going to resume operations at this time because we can, or can you still not resume operations? And you make those decisions. So you have to go through that process.
All right, I have another question. The Chamber would like to engage further, acting as a central point of contact for St. Johns County businesses where appropriate, but we need further access to email and cell phone numbers for key business contacts. How would you suggest we maintain a current contact list we can use solely for emergency purposes?
Okay, so this would be, okay, I'm going to live in a, the chamber would have a pretty solid contact list for their membership, I would assume?
Yes, hi, this is Amy Stafford. I'm the new VP of Operations at the Chamber. And
Okay.
yes, we have great contacts for our members. And we do have some contacts for non-member businesses.
Okay.
But keeping that updated, et cetera, can be challenging at times. So I'm wondering if the county has access to, I don't know when people register or pay taxes, if there's a way that we could garner that information only for emergency purposes to be able to get information out in partnership with you all during a crisis.
Okay. So we do have, Isabel is usually we have a seat inside the EOC for ESF 18. And Isabel is usually the individual that is sitting here sort of managing that business side. I am not sure if, like you said, when they pay taxes, I'm not sure if that would have I'm not sure that they would give that list. And to be fair, I don't know what that information would include to be a business continuity type of operation.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I really can't speak to that.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, very good. All right, well, that's all the questions we have right now. Kelly, that was extremely timely, very, very good information. I'll tell you, as much as I love Jim Cantori, I never want to see him on our beach.
Absolutely not. That was the running joke, I would say, during Matthew when somebody looked up at the TV in the EOC and they were like, oh boy, Jim Cantori standing outside.
Too close. Anyway, in a minute, we're going to have a breakout room because we want you guys to discuss amongst yourselves if you think you're prepared for hurricane season. But before we close and get to that, I just want to, again, first of all, thank Kelly. That was a wonderful presentation. And I want to thank our sponsor, Fields Auto Group. Today's discussion was recorded and will be forwarded to all the members and added to our social media and on the Chamber's website. The Chamber also has a dedicated web page providing information on planning resources, sustainability tools, and business recovery information, and that can be found at www.sjcemergencymanagement.com.